Hello, and welcome to Pharmacist Answers. I'm Cynthia, and I will be your host. You're listening to my Periscope broadcast turned podcast. Hope you enjoy. I'm Cynthia, if you haven't seen me before. I'm a pharmacist, and so I've had a interesting week, or week and a half, really, with some crazy things going on, so I figured I would share and give a little bit of advice or recommendations. If you've had problems with allergies this summer, or you're having to do something so you can cope with allergies this summer, give me a thumbs up, because I have, and my allergies just kill me. But in Georgia, we have a lot of pine trees, and pine pollen, I think, is going to be the death of me. My husband is a farmer, and they grow hay, and hay residue is probably going to be the death of me if it's not pine trees. So lots of things that are just in my natural air that irritate my allergies. And usually my allergies it gives me a lot of congestion in my nose, causes me to sneeze a lot, or itchy throat where I feel like I can't get the junk out of my throat and talk like a normal girl. So allergies are awful. Some people have problems with their eyes, where the stuff in the air irritates their eyes and they get all red and watery, and you just seep water from your eyes all day long. Other people have even worse problems, that it gets into their chest, into their lungs, and so they have asthma-related problems when it comes to allergies. But in this last week, I actually had a skin reaction. I had hives, head to toe, when I woke up one morning and had no idea what it was. Had to go to work. They couldn't find anybody to cover for me at work. And so I had to work with hives, and I was thankful it was the beginning of the month. I was thankful that we were busy, because I could just be in this manic terry and not have to worry, not get distracted by the fact that I was itching, because I was so busy taking care of other people. So that was awful, but I was kind of grateful for how it turned out, since we did have a busy day. I had to go to an urgent care clinic and get checked out, because there wasn't much I could do at home. The stuff I was doing at home wasn't working. The first step for any allergic reaction that you ever have, your first step should be to take Benadryl. Unless you can't breathe or can't swallow, and then your first step is to call 911. But any typical reaction, whether it's bug bites or skin rashes or anything like that, your first step, take Benadryl. It gets into your system fast, and it hits all of your histamines all over your body to be able to tell that system to chill out. But I did that, and it didn't work. So then I tried topicals, and it only works if your reaction is in a small area. There's Benadryl cream, so that's kind of duplicated from if you take the pill. And then there's cortisone cream. What if you're allergic to that? Allergic to Benadryl? That is interesting. Is it a true allergy, Steve, or is it just kind of an intolerance? Because I have a whole nother soapbox about that. If you're allergic to Benadryl, then you should probably call 911, because they're going to need to give you something at the hospital that you can't just get out of your medicine cabinet or off the shelf at the store. But the other thing you can use over the counter for itching is cortisone cream. Your wife can't take Benadryl. What happens to her if she takes Benadryl? I'm curious. The cortisone cream over the counter is a steroid. Problem is, you can't put steroid on a large portion of your body. Her skin crawls. That's interesting. So she just gets all itchy and scratchy and crawly, but doesn't have a rash or anything. Yeah, that would make me not want to take Benadryl. Steroids can't be used all over your body, because they will actually soak all the way through your skin and get in your bloodstream, and then they can do weird things to you if you're not anticipating it. So I couldn't just... Now her doctor says that she can't take it. Okay, well, follow doctor's instructions. And like I said, if something happens and her life depends on it, call 911, because she's going to need to be taken care of. Hopefully she doesn't have to deal with too many allergies, though. I had to go to urgent care. They gave me a steroid pack. So I actually had to take steroids in a pill so they could go all over my body and try to chill out whatever was causing me to react. The best we could guess is that because my husband had been working on the farm and they had been dealing with a lot of hay for the week prior, is that some of that residue might have gotten on our bed sheets, and it just kind of got all on my skin, and my skin just said it had enough and freaked out. The main recommendations for allergies, for seasonal allergies, antihistamines is one, if you can take them. Benadryl is a first generation antihistamine, and it leads to drowsy side effects. A lot of people take it. If I take it, it kind of puts me in a coma and I'm just sleepy and it's awful. So I only take it if I have to, and this was the time that I had to. Typically for allergies, there's the second generation antihistamines. That's your Claritin, your Zyrtec, your Allegra. They all have generics. They're all over the counter. And you just have to take it one time a day, and it hits mainly the histamines that work in your airways. So the histamines in your sinus passages, in your throat, and in your lungs. So to help kind of calm that down. So the airborne allergens like pollen and dust and that kind of stuff doesn't irritate you as much. And then the newest thing that's over the counter now, that's only been out for several months, is the steroid nasal sprays. Nasacort and Flonase both are over the counter as brand only, but having that localized steroid in your sinus passages can actually alleviate a whole lot of symptoms that people have. And histamines aren't the only culprit in your body that lead to an allergic reaction. There are other things that the steroid kind of covers all of those bases, where your antihistamines only cover the histamine reaction. So if you're having other things get involved with your allergic reaction or your typical allergies, then the antihistamines only going to hit a fraction of that and the other things. So you may have lessened symptoms, but they may not go completely away. So that's some options. So since I was having a major allergy attack, and I know it's summer and lots of people in lots of places in the country and all over the world, I'm guessing there's probably allergens in just about anywhere you could go, unless you're in Antarctica or something, that where like nothing grows and nothing blooms. The over-the-counter options do work really well. The only time that you would need to see a doctor about allergies, one is if it's something that becomes life-threatening. Like I said, it stops your breathing, stops your swallowing, and you have to have some major things worked on to help you stop that reaction. But for just regular seasonal allergies, if you have asthmatic symptoms, problems in your lungs where your chest gets tight or you can't get air in and out as good, there's nothing over the counter really that works for that. So that does require a doctor and a prescription. Typically, the medication that's used in pill form is called Singulair, and it has a generic, and it works on one of those chemicals in that allergy process in your body that's mainly in your lungs. So the Singulair works really good for the asthma. And then for some people, especially if they get that tightness or that shortness of breath, they'll get an albuterol inhaler to help open those windpipes up really, really fast to let that air back in. One, because your body needs oxygen and you can't go very long without it. And two, if you get in a situation where you can't breathe, you kind of freak out. So you need something that works fast so you avoid that panic. One of the worst things that happens with an asthma attack is the panic that comes along with it, where you can't breathe. Maybe I gave you some good information, or maybe you just heard a good story about my allergies and me getting hives from my husband cutting hay. But anyway, if you have any questions, you can tweet me at Sin Hendricks on Twitter. That way I can respond back to you if you have another question in the future. Oh yes, you may ask a question. I'll be glad to answer your question. Poison ivy. Yes, we have it. It's terrible. Along with its other poison cousins. You're very allergic to poison ivy. A lot of people are. It is miserable. I have never actually had experience with it, and I hope I never do. Even though I have some growing out across my front sidewalk. I think that's actually poison sumac that's growing across my sidewalk. We have to spray it every summer with the industrial strength weed killer that they use on the farm to try to get rid of it. Does poison ivy cumulative in your body? Not typically. If you get poison ivy on your skin, typically the poison ivy doesn't build up for each reaction to become worse and worse. Now your body, when you come in contact with an allergen that your body deems as an enemy, your body goes on high alert and sends out the cavalry, and this allergic reaction process starts. So all of these chemicals, I didn't really name them all, but there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them. Histamines being one of them, but there's 4 others. They kind of all have their job in how they try to stop and get rid of this bad guy that attacked you, that is deemed an allergy. Your body goes through this process, and whether it's able to clear it on its own, and then they all go back to their little huts and chill out until next time, or if you have to take medication to tell them to chill the heck out and go away because you're not being attacked anymore. Your body kind of remembers that. It has this immunity memorization process. It works for allergens. It's also how your body builds immunity with vaccines and stuff. So your body has this memory of this thing that attacked you, quote unquote attacked you. If you experience it again, it remembers that it was a bad guy from the first time, and it so continues to identify it as a bad guy and causes another reaction if you get into it another time. That process is a good thing for your body, because if you can pull things from memory, you can have a faster reaction and better outcome than if you're having to relearn it every single time. Problem is, if your body gets a little overzealous, then you can have a regular reaction the very first time that you come in contact with something, but then for whatever reason, the next time you come in contact with it, your body just goes berserk and sends you into a higher level allergic reaction or borderline anaphylaxis. And there's not really an explanation for that other than the fact that you got into it once, your body remembered that it was a bad guy, and it just got a little too good at trying to get rid of it. Poison ivy is usually a topical offender, and so if you just get topically offended by poison ivy a bunch of times, typically your body should just respond to it normally every single time and it not really build up, unless for some reason you have a extra powerful immune system that then leads to that kind of overstepping of a normal reaction after several exposures. So it usually would require exposure to some other region of your body that's not topical, so respiratory kind of thing, that hopefully you wouldn't get poison ivy in your blood. I don't think you'd be injecting it, and I don't think even with like an open wound there wouldn't be enough blood flow to actually carry poison ivy around in your bloodstream. But burning it, those kinds of things, and the next time it spreads worse. Yeah, so you may just have one of those immune systems that kind of gives you a gradual step up, rather than saying you have a normal reaction and then the next time you end up in the hospital. So avoid poison ivy. That's always my first suggestion when people say, what should I do about poison ivy? I say, don't play in it, because really, if you can avoid it, then you avoid a whole lot of misery and risk for a whole lot of other things. So it sounds like you kind of have one of those in-between systems where you just, your body gets tired of having to deal with the same thing over and over again. And so you just it just tries to be a little bit over the top to hopefully make it go away for good, which poison ivy comes back every summer, so it's not going to go away for good. Definitely don't burn it. Don't bush hog it. Any of that dust, anything that allows it to get teeny tiny particles that can seep into other places other than just your skin, can lead to a much worse response to poison ivy or any other allergen in general. So hopefully that answered your question, Steve. Gives you a better understanding. Yes, so using a weed killer and spraying it is your best option. So that's what we do around our house. Again, some of it requires that industrial strength weed killer that they use on the farm and stuff, but it gets rid of it. It makes sure that my dog doesn't get in it, and makes sure that my kids don't get in it. So that's usually how we take care of it. We don't mow it, we don't cut it down, we certainly don't catch it on fire. That's my best solution for it thus far. So thanks, Steve. That was a good question. Hopefully gave you a clear answer. So if you don't have anything else, I'm gonna go. Have a good day. Bye. Thanks for listening. Be sure to subscribe to the show on iTunes so you don't miss an episode. You can find the show notes at pharmacistanswershere.wordpress.com. If you want to join the conversation live, follow me on Periscope at Cyn Hendrix, CYNHENDRIX. You can also share your questions and comments with me on Twitter at Cyn Hendrix, or email the podcast at pharmacistanswershere@gmail.com.